Now, Alice Morrison was born in Edinburgh, as we've already established, but spent many years of her childhood in Ghana and Uganda. She worked in TV news, but travelling was never far from her mind. And in 2011, she decided to go for it. She cycled across Africa from Cairo to Cape Town. She ran the Marathon des Sables. That's 6 marathons in 6 days. Is that right? That's just frightening. Across the Sahara before moving wholesale to Morocco. And she's recently completed walking 1,000 miles across the Sahara. Now, this is all very impressive, Alice.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
But I feel like if you've already run across the Sahara, then surely walking would be a breeze.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? And in fact, so I must admit, I started off and I didn't think it would be that tough.
Yeah.
And how I could imagine that walking across the Sahara for 3 months wouldn't be tough, in retrospect, I don't know. But it was hard. It was so far, I'd say, one of the hardest things I've done.
Because of the time involved. Well, lots of things, but you're talking about 3 months, so that is a long time.
It is.
To be putting one foot in front of another.
It is. And I think what it was that the Sahara, the bits I went through are so bleak and empty and barren. And for weeks, I felt like I was walking on top of the globe with just the sky above me and the whole of Mother Earth beneath me with nothing to tether me. So it was almost like we were after the apocalypse. There were my 3 men who walked with me and the 6 camels, all male. And we were just this tiny band of brothers and sisters walking on top of the world. It was incredibly difficult to tether your head to anything.
I know that there were kind of environmental reasons that you did it and things you wanted to draw people's attention to. But what was the personal reason for doing it? Was it another goal, another challenge, or was it that you wanted to feel what you've just described?
For me, I really like to explore. So I'm really keen to bring back proper exploring. So just opening your eyes to the world around you. It doesn't matter where you are. You can go in your back garden and see how many types of grass you can see. That's exploring. And every time you interact with the planet and with other people in that way, you live. You're like vibrantly alive. So I'm always seeking that kind of liveness and that it's not excitement because let's face it, weeks and weeks and weeks of nothing. There's a boredom factor, but it's about being truly alive.
Absolutely. Did you feel scared, lonely at any point? I know you're with people, but you talk about being kind of, walking on top of the world.
I was scared at some points because we hit some danger points, and the loneliness thing I think is really interesting. So I'm walking with my 3 men and my 6 camels. I've got very possessive about them, but with Lahu, Ibrahim and Adi, who again on paper have got nothing in common with me. These are men, they're Berber Tashlahit speakers, they're very religious Muslims. You'd think, wouldn't you, that we've got nothing, but we became so close. We had such a laugh, such a giggle, and we bonded together. And they come from a place in Morocco, it's all about community, and I'm listening to everyone creating lots of different tribes here, but over there you're in a tribe which is called the human race, and everyone is together all the time. People there don't value solitude or aloneness. So for example, if I was having a bit of a tough hour and I was thinking, I so wish I wasn't doing this, I'd maybe fall behind the camels and just be walking on my own. And Brahim would turn and go, Zahra, which is what they call me, Zahra, come up here. One hand can't clap. Which I always liked.
So you're not allowed to be on your own?
No, and I didn't feel lonely at all. In fact, I felt embraced by these men who took me to their hearts and just made me part of their family, which is such a lovely feeling.
Yeah. Now, you have always had this, thing for travelling and exploring. I presume that this was instilled in you as a child because you're born in Edinburgh, but then you you grew up, really, your childhood years in places like Ghana and Uganda because of your parents' job.
Yes, well, I can never compete. So my parents put the bar really high. So my mum did her law finals she had me at the end of May, did her law finals in June. And then 6 weeks later, she and my dad were on a boat sailing to the middle of nowhere in Uganda. We weren't in a city, we were in the bush with a 6-week-old baby. And they were teaching English. And they did that. So I was brought up completely feeling that was the norm, and my parents did not instill fear into me in any way, which I think is invaluable. So thanks, Mum and Dad, but I can never live up to them.
So you came back to the UK at what age?
I came back to go to St Dennis and Cranley Academy for Young Ladies
Oh.
in Morningside
I
in
love that.
Edinburgh at the age of 11, where you had to wear 2 pairs of knickers. Ask me not why.
I think it
And
was,
ankle
it was
socks.
it was to keep your tights up, wasn't it?
We didn't have tights. Ankle sock, beige ankle socks.
Okay, I don't know that.
It did keep you warm, though. In
I was going to
fairness,
say, yeah. And then you had you went to university, you had a career in TV news.
I did.
Then you set up on your own. But then you just, I don't know, did you constantly have this hankering
well, I did that
to
weird.
be abroad, to explore new places?
I don't know. I mean, I'm the only person on the planet, I think, who's grateful to David Cameron. Because he...
What?
I know. Because,
Yeah, you probably are.
yeah. Because I was actually living a media darling life. I was going to the Cannes Film Festival and the BAFTAs, and I ran a media development Quango. He came up, abolished Quangos, abolished me, which was quite hard because I was a CEO and I had a PR and a PA and all sorts. And so then I thought, right, I'm going to turn this negative, because it was really negative, and to the end of my life I'll always be sad that I had to make people redundant. So it's horrible, but it freed me, and I got to do what I really love, which is, getting dirty, getting muddy, exploring things, talking to people from different cultures, and seeing the world with my own eyes and walking across it. Don't undervalue that, putting one foot in front of the other and walking.
I think the only guest we've ever had on who's actually wearing a safari jacket.
I was going to have to bring this up
Thank
at some
you.
point.
Yes, thank you.
You're merely missing a pith helmet. And
Thank
that's
you.
It.
Well,
You're ready to
I
hit the desert.
I'm actually in the gear I wore across the desert, which is by crack office, thank you. But no, the reason is, for years and years, I felt that I wasn't a real adventurer. So I started being an adventurer because I started signing my emails, Alice Morrison, adventurer. And then I had to do adventures. My mum kept saying, it's all very well on the email, but adventurers have got to adventure. I was like, right. And then after that, I was like, I don't look like, they've all them, because it's always men, isn't it? I think I'm one of the very few female explorers at the moment. And it's always men, and they've always got that I've got a bit of a double chin. They've always got that amazing jaw and that faraway look in their eyes. And they always have those jackets with pockets.
Yeah.
And then finally, just this time when I came to the UK, this crack office gave me this lovely jacket, which I'm now wearing all the time.
Goodness
Which
me.
I love.
It does look exactly sort of like you can imagine Harrison Ford winking at you across a bar in that jacket.
Hold on. If I were in the jacket, he would wink at me, or he would wink at me in his jacket.
Then he would wink at you in your
But
jacket.
would he wink at me if I was wearing this jacket? See a fellow explorer.
I think he would.
I feel that you're missing a trick. You have no binoculars around your neck. Therefore,
They're in
Well,
the bag.
it's really irritating because I actually gave my binoculars to Brahim, who then lost them. And they would have been very useful, I can tell you, in this last trip, because we were constantly looking for nomads' tents. So that because we didn't have any water and there was no water, the water has dried out in the Sahara. Desertification is a real issue. So nomads could give us water. So we were always on, and I mean, my eyesight's terrible. Fortunately, the men have all got fantastic eyesight. So I really could have done with a pair of binoculars.
Now, you talked about some parts of the Sahara being very barren and very empty. What does the rest of it look like? Because we have an image, don't we?
Yeah.
Probably a cartoonish
What is
image.
your image?
It's of golden sand, of maybe a few snakes, and on the dunes, and then a couple of oases.
Okay, so
So that's completely wrong.
No, it's not completely wrong. And there are areas where there are grand dunes, and they're always really amazing to enter because, believe in God or not, they are a beautiful creation, and they're magnificent, and the sunset over them, and they're curvy, and you just love them. But you don't want to walk on them because it's soft sand. Walking on soft sand is just hell on earth, to be honest. So a lot of it is dead flat, slightly stony with sandy patches, and if you're lucky, there might be a few acacia trees. Oases, no oases.
Going into the desert without sufficient water in the hope that you'll bump into a nomad does strike me as being a high risk thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, how much water did you have to carry with you? Is that what you had the camels for?
Yeah.
They're your-
We had 6 camels: Hamish, Hector, Hunter,
Oh, I love it.
Callum, Alistair, and Sausage.
Okay, hang on. The sausage is not right.
Yeah. If you get too hungry, sausage is the first one to go, I'm afraid.
Well, camel meat is very delicious, I have to say.
Is it
And
now?
Don't say that.
we did stop in a
Goodness
city
me.
at one point, Sahara, which is this incredible desert capital, very romantic. We walked into this desert capital with our caravan of camels, and the whole city stopped because they're not used to that old-fashioned kind of thing. thing now. And we had a meal of camel meat, and then we're sitting there eating camel meatballs, yum, 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 yum. And I'm like, and then Brahim comes running up and he goes, "Stop!" We're like, "What?" He says, "The camel meat's imported from Australia,"
Oh,
Not homegrown
blimey.
camel.
which is so weird. I have to find out why. I
Well,
don't know yet.
there's camels are feral now in Australia. They brought them over, of course, to traverse the country and let them go. And there's a lot of I've ridden camels in Australia, and I rode across on a camel all the way across the Wadi Rum Desert as well. So these
Can I just say, riding the camel, not walking on the same legs.
yeah, I know. Get on the camel. And actually, riding the camel hurts.
I bet it
Yeah,
does.
Yeah,
Gets your
it's
back.
basically a wooden frame with
I like,
legs.
Yeah.
I like camels. They're grumpy beasts.
Yeah.
And also kind of humpy beasts.
Well, I think it's time to talk about the sex life of camels.
Okay,
Oh.
well, I can give you 30 seconds to do that.
If you could sum it
6
up.
male camels on heat. When they're on heat, they spread their legs, they pee, they put it onto their back, they blow out a big pink sex bubble full of froth, which goes on you if you're
Hello.
walking ahead of them.
Okay. See,
Yuck.
I should have had we should have had the longer version, I think. It's interesting, though, that the idea of male camels are the ones that are on heat and not the female ones. What's next for you? What's your next challenge?
I'm actually going to join up. I've now done 2/3 of Morocco because I became the first woman to walk the Dra early last year. Crossed the Sahara this year, and so I'm going to do the northern part, which is the Atlas Mountains,
Wow.
and that's in the summer.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
You and your safari jacket. Thank you so much, Alice, for coming in. I must ask you very quickly, Nadia, about your Shine Mighty podcast. What kind of people do you interview on that, just briefly?
I interview shy people. So shy people who have managed to turn their shyness to their advantage in different ways, or they've overcome the aspects of their shyness which are holding them back.
And is this in a kind of business sphere or just absolutely anyone?
Any sphere. So the other day I spoke to a children's author, spoken to actors, to professionals in different organisations. So I really want to give quieter people a voice.
Well, I think you have done on this programme because...
You've done it now.
yeah, you can. You can relax now. Thank you so much, Nadia. Neil, we are at the end of the programme. So
Yeah.
which track have you chosen to play out with and why have you chosen it?
Okay, the brilliant Robert Palmer, She Makes My Day, and dedicated really, because it's one of the tunes that me and my beloved Emma like to send to each other when we're apart.
You send it. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's how it first happened. I sent her a little playlist of gorgeousness when I was out in Sri Lanka filming Good Karma.
Well, listen, we can't wait to hear it. Thank you to all our guests, to Neil Morrissey, to Nadia Feiner, to Alice Morrison, to Matt Veselovsky, to Jane MacDonald, to Nick, who featured in our thank you, and to you for listening. We are back next week with Bob Geldof. Till then, goodbye, have a lovely weekend, and don't forget to wash your hands, please.
I seem to be unconditionally hers. She's like a new girl every day, and all the rest don't bother me. I'm far too busy loving her. I'll never be lonely now. I know her. She fills my heart with joy. She makes my day. She just has to smile to blow my careless away. She just has to touch my hand to make me stay. She's all good loving at once. 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 She's all good.